Bobo at the Swimming Pool by Paul McCann. Just before summer holidays, the teachers of Backstreet Boys School were really busy preparing exams for the end of the term. It was also a busy time for Bobo, who did all the maintenance work for the school. New locker keys had to be cut and the roof needed repair. Sometimes it's the case that when you're busy, other people come and ask you to do their work. This was one of those times. It was a misty kind of morning, and Bobo was up the ladder having a look at the roof tiles. Mr. Locke walked right around the ladder and called out to Bobo. Excuse me, Bobo, could I speak with you for a moment, please? Bobo looked down from the top rung of the ladder and he topped back his cap and he said, No problem, Mr. Locke. He placed both his feet on the outside of the ladder, and as he did, he slid down the ladder, using his hands as a guide for speed on the outside of the frame. As he landed at the feet of the ladder, the vice principal stood there looking directly into his eyes, and it was a kind of a personality clash. Bobo had one and he didn't. Maybe a kind of envy was also part of the problem, because Bobo got on well with all the students while Mr. Locke was not that popular. Before Mr. Locke spoke to Bobo, he cleared his throat with a gentle cough, but just as he did, a small fly flew straight into his mouth. He grabbed his throat and began to spit and cough in one huge effort to evict the fly from his mouth. Then he made some angry muffled sounds. Are you okay? Said Bobo, curious and concerned. No, I'm not. I'm afraid I've just swallowed a fly. Bobo tried hard not to laugh. That reminds me of an old song, Mr. Locke. Finally, after clearing his throat and composing himself, he said, Hi, yes, good morning, Bobo. Bobo was now even more curious because Mr. Locke was not the kind of person who said good morning to anyone. Bobo quizzed him again. Is everything all right? Well, today, Bobo, I have a little outside job for you. How would you like to bring Year 3 on an excursion to the swimming pool? To the swimming pool? Yes, that's right. What for? I have to check all the exam papers today and I'm unable to take my class. So I've got everything arranged. There are funds set aside from petty cash to cover the bus and the admission cost to the pool. Well, yeah, I'd like to bring him to the pool, said Bobo. Then it's settled. Can you make sure you're back in time for school close about 3? Sure, not a problem. Mr. Locke turned quickly and was going back inside the school. Bobo took up the ladder again and carried back a few more things up and down he went, shaking his head, murmuring to himself, Well, so much for the roof. After he put away the ladder, he went outside to make a phone call, and, of course, none other than his best friend and helper, Charlie. Oh, Charlie, the reply came back. Hi, Bobo. Shouldn't you be at work? Charlie, I am at work. A brief silence, and then Charlie said, So what's going on, Bobo? Bobo called Charlie and slowly baited him. You know what, Charlie? I've always said what a nice person you are. Charlie cut in and he said, Sure, Bobo, it's like nice of you to call me from work, Bobo, and tell me that. Bobo continued, Charlie, I want to give you a very special treat today. A treat for me, Bobo? Charlie's intrigued now. That's right, Charlie. You and I are going to the swimming pool, and I'm paying. Charlie sounded excited, and he said, Hi, Bobo, that's great. When are we going to go? When you finish work? I'll meet you outside the school gate in about 30 minutes, said Charlie. Did you say 30 minutes, Bobo? Charlie said, Yeah, I'll see you then. Bye, Charlie. So after about a half an hour, Bobo and Charlie met at the school gate. Bobo spoke first. Hi, Charlie. Now, what did I tell you? It was, maybe I didn't tell you, but there's a few more people coming too, along with us to the pool. Who? Charlie asked. Bubble waved his hand over to the front office, and out the door of the school came 35 Year 3 schoolboys with towels and swimmers in their hands. They came over and stood beside Bubble and Charlie. So Bubble pulled Charlie to one side and he said very quietly, Charlie, we're all going to walk to this pool, okay? That way I can save the money on the bus fares, and after we go to the pool, we can get some fish and chips downtown. So are we walking a class of backstreet boys 5 miles into the town? Over the bridge and across the Bay Street boys? They're probably going to have our guts for garters. You're mad. We'll all be killed. No, Charlie, we're not going to be killed. We're just going for a swim at the bay baths. I suppose so. You're right on the ball, Charlie. Now, what I need you to do is keep up the pace with me, okay? You stay up the rear while I lead up the front. The first sign of trouble, we'll make a dice for it into the bay. How does that sound? You're crazy, Bobo. I can't even swim. Charlie, don't be such a worrywart. The Bay Street boys are at school anyway, and by the time they get out, we'll be back home. Are you sure, Bobo? Sure, Charlie. Just keep your eyes on the traffic as we go. Bobo called all the boys over. They gathered around in small groups as Bobo gave a brief talk on walking in safety on the road and being in good behaviour. Right then, let's go, said Bobo. Charlie fell to the back and they all marched off 2 by 2 down along the road. As the town was in view, some of the boys were laughing at Charlie, who was doing some kind of tribal dance. Some of the boys were laughing and began to copy what Charlie was doing. This attracted the attention of passers-by. What are you up to, Charlie? Bobo shouted from the front. I'm not up to nothing. I'm just trying to walk, without stepping on the cracks, on the slabs, on the pavement, that's all. Charlie, if you don't stop that now, you're going to have more to worry about than avoiding cracks in the pavement, okay? Sorry, Bobo, I'm just trying to enjoy the walk. Everyone started to laugh. Soon they were in town, walking past the shops with the tall windows. Charlie was making strange faces at himself in some of the shop windows. As he was looking at his own reflection in another window, a boy in the group called Miko, he decided to have some fun. He dropped to the ground as if he was dead. Everyone continued to walk over him until Charlie approached him. He knelt over Miko, who was motionless on the ground. Now Charlie was really worried and shouted in his ear, Get up on your feet, Miko, and stop clowning around. Miko never answered or budged an inch. Charlie was getting worried. Hello, Miko? Can you hear me? Are you okay, Miko? As Charlie was starting to panic, Miko winked at some of the boys in the class and he said, Oh, Charlie, give me the kiss of life. Only then I'll be okay. And then he jumped up on his feet and everyone started laughing. Bobo, Charlie and the boys continued their walk along the sidewalk through the town. There were lots of distractions like the toy shop windows and lots of sales and advertisements. One sign on a particular window stood out amongst all the others. The very large and colourful sign displayed a notice all about the travelling carnival with lots of amusement rides. It was just all too much for Macker and another 2 of the lads who decided to make their escape from the carnival. And no one even seen them as they shrewdly disappeared through the car park in the centre of town. Another one, then, of the boys, called Topper, saw what happened and he called Charlie. Hey, Charlie! I just saw Macker and Claky and Stitcher head off down there towards the amusement arcade. Charlie immediately rushed up the front to tell Bobo it. All the boys rushed off to find the missing lads and pull them back into the line. Bobo looked a little bit angry when he saw Macker, Claky and Stitcher on the dodgem cars. Bobo waited there until the 3 escapees had finished their ride. Meanwhile, Charlie was standing there innocently in line waiting for a ride on the slippery slide. Bobo gave Charlie a hard look. If looks could kill, he would be dead. Charlie looked so innocent. Oh, it only takes a moment. Honest, Bubble. Tupper bunked past Charlie and continued to make his way through the queue, asking people if he could get to the front of the line. Bubble gave a nod of approval and agreed to wait a few more moments. After their ride on the sled, Bubble and all the lads were once again on their way towards the bridge. It was getting late now, so Bubble picked up the pace a little bit and all the class started to jog except for Charlie, who was unable to keep up. The rest of the class had to slow down and wait for Charlie, who was out of breath and a little bit upset. Bubble told Charlie to walk ahead of him. Suddenly, the rain began to fall. "Okay, right boys, let's go," said Bubble, who picked up the pace that ended up into a jog across the bridge and a final sprint down into the bay baths. The boys all walked over to Bubble, who said, "Well, here we are. We're here. Charlie, pick up a couple of dozen towels there from the laundry and meet us down there in the change rooms." Bubble pointed Charlie towards the laundry hire section in the baths, and then he headed into the men's change room. The boys were all getting changed when they heard Charlie scream for help. Bubble rushed out, and there was poor Charlie, pinned against the wall. This big woman had Charlie round the throat. He was elevated about 6 inches off the ground, and the woman was furiously screaming aloud. "What's the matter with you? Huh? Sneaking into the ladies' change room?" Bubble interrupted. "Look, I'm sorry, Mrs. I'm sure he didn't mean any harm. You see, Charlie gets mixed up with his directions sometimes." The woman released her grip on Charlie and replied, "Can't he read? It says ladies on the sign." "I'm afraid he can't read. He's literate," Bubble said as he helped Charlie to his feet. Some of the boys who seen the funny side of it began to giggle away from outside the change room. Charlie tried to apologise, but the big woman wasn't letting him go in a hurry. She sounded a little bit calmer, though, and she said, "Well, off you go, and the next time make sure you know where you're going." Charlie picked up the towels and he ran over the big cracks and the slabs to the men's change room. When everybody was changed into their swimmers, they rushed out to the top of the pool. Charlie was one of the first there, and he jumped straight in. He seemed to go straight to the bottom, and he never surfaced. Bubble dived in after a few moments and pulled out a coughing and spluttering Charlie, who was retrieved from the deep of the pool. Bubble waited until Charlie settled and asked, "What's going on, Charlie?" "Nothing, Bubble. I just wanted to go for a swim, but nobody told me our bodies don't float." "Can't you swim, Charlie?" "No," Charlie replied. "Then go down the shallow end of the pool and have a splash with the rest of the lads." "Okay." Bobo did a few laps, and then he spent some time giving basic swimming instructions to the lads, and they couldn't swim either. They had a great time in the pool, and after an hour they left the pool and had showers. Then they changed back into their school clothes. Bobo paid for the towels, about an hour in the pool. After they left the bay baths, they checked out. Really few funds left over. There's still enough for lunch in the town. Outside in the road was soaking wet, and puddles of water everywhere. Must have poured down while they were in the pool. Bobo led the group to the bay baths cafe and told the boys to sit down at the tables while he ordered fish and chips, a soft drink for everyone there. Charlie whispered in the Bobo's ear, "We could always make a dash for it." "Dash for what, Charlie?" Charlie said, "I mean, we could leave without paying the bill and run like lightning." Bobo looked at Charlie with almost tears in his eyes, wanting to laugh. "Charlie, you could run like lightning even if I plugged you into a live socket. Why don't you think maybe we should just pay the bill?" "Well, they don't like us in this part of town." "That doesn't mean we don't pay bills, Charlie. I'm going to give you all the money. Now you're going to walk up to the counter and pay the bill. All right?" Bobo handed over all the money to Charlie, who walked very slowly to the front reception where the cash register sat. Charlie paid for the lunch, and Bobo checked the time. The day was getting on, and it was now time to get the class back to school. It started to rain on the way. When they finally returned to school, some of the boys' parents were just arriving to pick the kids up. Then Bobo remembered the damaged roof over the library and went to have a look. He was shocked to see that the carpet of the library was saturated, soaked with rain. He contacted Mr. Locke, he had to help Bobo to clean up the mess. The carpet was ruined and the walls and the ceiling all being affected by the heavy rain. Mr. Locke felt bad about asking Bobo away from the duties and even offered all his hard time and labour to make it up for Bobo. There was one thing Mr. Locke and Bobo shared in common, and that was it was no use complaining when things went wrong. The only way ahead was to fix it up, get done, end the problem. Mr. Locke then rang the insurance company and they said they would cover the claim after the inspector came and looked at the damage. And true to their word, it came that night, and after quick inspection they got the go-ahead for the new work to be done in the school library. That evening Bobo and Mr. Locke rolled up their sleeves, began to knuckle down to some hard work. After removing the bookshelves and the books, they pulled up the old carpet and opened up the windows to get this musty, stinking smell. It was a big effort. The boys then all helped, and after a few more weeks, the attitude between the students and Mr. Locke improved a lot with all the work they had been doing together in the library. They all actually became good friends. With the new carpet down, a couple of coats of paint on the walls, the library looked brand new. A new consignment of books were purchased, placed on the shelves in the school library. And the new and very modern look of the library brought parents in to admire it. New roof tiles were laid to replace the broken ones and the missing ones. And the kids in the school were promised more visits to the pool and swimming lessons for anyone who needed them. All in all, it was a good result for everyone in the end. That's the end of the story.